Magic. All of the Nintendo classics have a special magic that sets them apart from the rest of the industry, and Mario is a prime example of it. But today I'd like to focus on the literal magic of Mario's world as shown in Super Mario Odyssey, going through the mythology, religion, and history that inspired it. So what are we waiting for? Let's go! One of the most iconic enemies in the Mario series is the Coin Coffer, first seen in Super Mario 3D Land and the spiritual successor of Moneybag from Super Mario 64. This sneaky little guy will hide and stay invisible until Mario spots him. But is there anyone from history who could turn invisible? Born in the 8th century, the ascetic monk Saint Dionysius the Great was said to be so dedicated to holiness and solitude that he could turn himself invisible at will. Further east, there's an ancient Buddhist legend that the Buddha visited an arrogant god named Baka, who had deluded himself into thinking that he had attained the highest state of being. So the Buddha displayed a series of impressive powers that were beyond Baka's capacity, and one of these powers was the ability to turn himself invisible. Several different Buddhist traditions even state that anyone who's enlightened enough is capable of making their body invisible, such as Theravada and Tibetan Buddhism. These kinds of powers are collectively called Idi. The most iconic mechanic in Odyssey is the ability to possess enemies with Cappy. But did you know that there's an ancient Tibetan legend about a Buddhist monk who had this power too? The tantric monk called Dampa Sangye once saw the corpse of an elephant and used his enlightened power to transfer his soul to it. But unfortunately, there was another monk who also had this power and transferred his soul to Dampa Sangye's now lifeless body because he was more tall and handsome. So when Sangye transferred his soul back out of the elephant's body, he had no choice but to put it into the other monk's body, which earned him the nickname of Little Black One, because this other monk was short and dark-skinned. A classic Mario power-up that has been a staple in the series since Super Mario Bros. On the NES is Fire Mario, and Mario can access this power in Odyssey by possessing a Fire Bro, an enemy that originally debuted in Super Mario Bros. 3. But there was an ancient Roman from over 2,000 years ago who could also conjure fire. Eunice was a slave who was famous for being an oracle, who received visions from the gods in order to predict the fortunes of others. And while in a trance receiving these visions, he would blow fire from his mouth, something he claimed was proof of the supernatural origin of his powers. But he was more than just an oracle. He also received a prophecy of approval from the gods for a slave revolt in his city of Enna. So he and his fellow slaves overthrew their masters, took control of the city, and Eunice became king of the slaves. Levitation appears a lot in Odyssey. The inverted pyramid, the power moons, and even the Odyssey itself all have the capacity to float. But did you know that there are people in history that are said to have had the ability to levitate too? Like the ancient legend that describes two neighbouring kingdoms in Nepal about to start a war over who got to use water from a local river because the area was in drought. As their respective armies gathered on either side of the river, the Buddha flew into the air to levitate over the river in the space between them and asked each side's ruler whether human life or water was more valuable. Both sides agreed that human life was the more valuable thing, and they agreed to work together instead of fighting. In fact, besides invisibility, levitation is another ability that a Buddhist monk is said to be capable of achieving with enough spiritual practice. Christian tradition also says that a number of saints were able to levitate, such as Francis of Assisi, Catherine of Siena, and Teresa of Avila. One of Tostarina's most memorable inhabitants are the big stone-faced Moe-Eyes, who use their stylish shades to block out the sun and see invisible platforms. But are there people in our world who are able to see what's invisible to the average person? In Eastern spiritual traditions like Hinduism, Buddhism, and Taoism, there is a belief that every person has a third eye which allows them to access a high state of consciousness and achieve enlightenment. If trained well, the third eye can make it possible to see things from a large distance, view the divine realms, and perceive the karmic destinies of sentient beings. This belief in a third eye is the reason why women in India and countries with a strong Indian cultural influence often have a red dot between their eyes, which is called a bindi. One of the cool nostalgic throwbacks in Odyssey are the Super Mario 64 inspired paintings Mario uses to teleport to different worlds. But what if I told you that the Vikings used to believe in a portal between our world and Asgard, the realm of the gods? This portal between the two realms takes the form of a burning rainbow bridge, which is guarded on the heavenly end by the god Heimdall, son of Odin, who guards Asgard from destructive invaders and keeps watch for the onset of Ragnarok, the Norse apocalypse. And yeah, that's all we have time for. If you liked the video, like, subscribe, leave a comment. Thank you for going on this journey with me. May there be many more.